The Leafs are in Sweden. We'll fill you in on the latest in what's happening overseas and the return of cosign, no sign. We'll get into all of that and more on today's edition of the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.
Your Locked On Maple Leafs, your daily podcast on the Toronto Maple Leafs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome into the Locked On Leafs podcast, a daily Maple Leaf-centric podcast hosted by myself, Mike DiStefano, and my co-host, Dave Morassutti. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. All right, Dave, we got the Leafs still in Sweden and still have yet to play a game. It feels like it's been a while since we've gotten to watch the Maple Leafs in-game action. They had that back-to-back on Friday and Saturday against Calgary and Vancouver, and then hit the road on Monday, and they've kind of been they've been overseas ever since. They had a practice today. We'll tell you about the updates that we received from there. But no practice tomorrow, so there won't be any updates. There's a mandatory day off tomorrow, which apparently they got some dinners lined up, and there's going to be a little bit of sightseeing going on. So that'll be nice. I'm sure Sweden's a beautiful country, right? It's like, in the Scandinavian, one of the Scandinavian countries, lots of mountains, I believe, in that area.
I couldn't tell you because I have never once been to Sweden.
Let me just look up Stockholm, Sweden scenery, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I completely wrong. Maybe I'm just like
there is water. There is some nice buildings. I am not seeing any mountains, so I don't know if the Stockholm is I'm not seeing any mountains here, so not a mountain.
No. Maybe I just assumed it's like, oh, it's got to be like Switzerland,
It looks stunning.
It does, yeah. Yeah, it's like all right. Like, I guess it's kind of right. There's like a big river going through the heart of downtown, it looks like. So that's pretty cool. I'd imagine that's pretty sweet in the wintertime too with the snow.
I do see that a few media members that are there, they're all having the Zibanejad burger.
The Zibanejad burger. What is the Zibanejad burger?
Well, obviously it's named after Mika Zibanejad.
Well, yes, but like, is it what makes it so special?
So I'm looking at the menu that these people are ordering it off of. It literally says number 93 Zibanejad. That's the name. It's a burger with mayo, cheddar, onion ring, caramelized onion, lettuce, white onion. It's a lot of onion for a burger.
That's a lot of onion on a burger, man. It's basically just an onion burger at that point.
First comment, actually, because it was producer Drew from SDPN. The first comment: the man likes onions.
Apparently, Jesus, Murphy. Yeah, not my cup of tea. I've opened up to onions in the past couple of years, like before. When I was younger, if I would like rip through, McDonald's or Burger King or whatever, and I'm getting something, I was always no onion type guy, no onion, no mustard. I've since gotten to appreciate a little bit of onion in what I'm eating. I think it adds a little sweetness, I guess, to the burger or to whatever I'm eating. But I would not want 3 different onions on one burger. That's just overkill. That's too much. Too much, Z-Baz. Too much. All right, let's get into what we know from practice today. A little news and notes from Stockholm, Sweden. There was an update on John Klingberg. We should probably apologize a little bit yesterday. We were kind of, winking, injuries with the lasers, the quotes there, wink, nudge. Apparently there is some sort of injury because he didn't practice today, and Sheldon Keefe said that he may not even play on Friday. Says that the flight didn't do him any wonders. And I would imagine that this is probably legitimate because he'd want to play in these games in Sweden.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if it wasn't in Sweden and it was just a regular game in Toronto or in North America, I probably would be like, yeah, this is more like a Phantom IL stint, like we see happen sometimes in baseball. The fact that he must be pretty beat up if he's can't play while they're out in his home country in Sweden.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And like we do know that sometimes injured players, like any sport, there's a reason why they don't get on airplanes. Airplanes are not exactly great for a lot of reasons when it comes to just, I mean, we don't know. The other thing is we don't know the injury, right? So we can't pinpoint
Right.
what exactly is the issue. Like I get it. Like their teams are still secret about that stuff. I'd like to know if it's a lower body, upper body sort of deal here. But I mean,
Yeah.
like I don't understand the total secrecy of it. I like in my opinion, but yeah, it's unfortunate because the team's got to figure out what the plan is for Klingberg down the road, and him not playing doesn't exactly help in that regard.
Yeah, I remember speaking with Jonas Siegel, like I don't know, early in the season. Maybe it was even around training camp, um, and he was talking about how the new regime has kind of reverted back to the old ways where you're left just thinking, okay, what's the injury? Like under Kyle Dubas, whenever they would send out an injury, you would know it's a knee, it's an ankle, it's a hamstring, or it's an arm, shoulder, head injury. Now it's under Brad Treliving, it's back to upper body, lower body. And you don't really know what the injury is. I don't know why this is the case, but they just never want to share any type of injury. And this is a conversation for a later day, like maybe even a summer topic. But if the NHL is going to, take gambling seriously and try and use it as a big time, moneymaker for the NHL, they're going to have to start kind of detailing these injury reports in the way you see the NFL doing it.
And the NBA.
And the NBA. Like that's it's big business, man. It's big business. Knowing if players are injured, where they're injured, how like there's a difference between an injured hand, let's say, and a knee injury. You know what I mean? Or a shoulder injury and a finger injury. Like there's just a big difference. Even like an ankle and a knee or an ankle and a hamstring. Like those are two different injuries that could impact somebody's play. But yeah, we don't know exactly what's going on with John Klingberg. Just know that he did not practice, may not play on Friday. They'll kind of reevaluate tomorrow, and then on Friday, and I guess it'll be considered a game time decision. Conor Timmins did practice though. Kale Timmins, as we like to call him on this show, practiced in a regular sweater today as well. Was taking a bit of contact. Not expected to be good to go for Friday, but Sunday apparently a possibility for Conor Timmins, which is exciting.
It is. I mean, again, part of maybe what happens with John Klingberg down the road also depends on how Conor Timmins looks in his return to the lineup, right? Like this is a guy who in preseason was Bobby Orr, right?
Oh,
like
Kale Timmins.
Kale Timmins. We're going with Kale Timmins now.
Yeah.
Not Connor Orr.
I guess you could go with Connor or
Bobby Timmins.
Actually, both of those sound better than Kale Timmins. Yeah, I was trying to be, current with the times, but Connor or sounds pretty good. So does Bobby Timmins.
Yeah.
But anyways.
But I do think, like, again, Tim, it's good to have depth, but it's also if Timmins can provide the Leafs similar to what Klingberg's doing at a far cheaper cap hit, like that. If people are wondering, like, how do you replace? I'm talking about like power play stuff, right?
Yeah.
I don't think Conor Timmins is the solution defensively.
Wow.
Does need
it can't get much worse, can you?
No, probably not. But the team does need to provide some. They need offense from that blue line. Like it's desperately needed, and he's the answer. Like in a lot of ways, because all when he is in the lineup, they put up points.
That's all the guy does is put up points whenever he's in the lineup. Like last year, he came into the team and just started putting up points. Like I'm looking it up right now, trying to see exactly what how many points he put up last year, but my internet's being very slow and not helping me very much as I try and get there. So, I got to do the old professional thing and just yammer until I get the answer. 14 points through 25 games last year with the Toronto Maple Leafs, which is pretty solid for a guy who's playing on your third pair, right? 14 points in 25 games. I mean, that's exactly what we're talking about. A guy who can move the puck from his own end and skate with it, can skate well. And, we saw in the preseason too that he could shoot, right? He can shoot and he's not afraid to shoot the puck through traffic and get it on net. So, hopefully he can come and he can play and he can give this team a nice shot in the arm offensively from the blue line. Because outside of Morgan Riley, they've gotten nothing offensively really from that blue line. And there's no expectation for anyone really to supply any offense either outside of Riley and obviously Klingberg, but Klingberg hasn't done that either. Still goalless on the season. He's got 5 helpers, but I mean, that's probably mainly from the power play in which he's been on PP1. Probably should have that at least, but at 5-on-5, you're not seeing a whole lot from that guy unless it's, him getting turnstiled and goals being scored on him. But again, hopefully both of them can get healthy. Although to get Conor Timmins into the lineup, they might have to do some cap gymnastics, Dave, because I don't know if they have the cap space to just activate him.
60,000 in cap space, which is not enough to bring back Conor Timmins as is. My guess is,
how many guys do they have with them though?
23? They have 7 defensemen and 13 forwards, so they'd have to probably send down a forward and a defenseman.
Yeah, okay. So they can make it happen.
They can. It's just now you're going to be shorthanded. Like if, let's say, you bring back Timmins and then a forward goes down.
Well, I mean, you'll have a week, right? Like, really?
Well, yeah, the good thing
play again. Like, if you make this happen for the Sunday game, right? Yeah. You do these paper transactions. He gets into the Sunday game, and then you don't play again until Friday. You can figure that out throughout the week when the team gets back to North America for that Friday game.
Well, I mean, you can do they can do what you suggested, which was, hey, Ryan Reeves.
Well, there's that. I don't think I can get that lucky to see that happen, but no, I'm just kidding. I doubt they do that. I really do. Although, again, like he's on the outside looking in, like even in practice today, he was skating as a 13th forward. That's a lot of money to have as your 13th forward, like 1.3 mil.
Especially.
Yeah, like that's, I don't know, man. We'll see. I'm pretty sure I did predict that at some point Ryan Reeves would get placed on waivers for cap reasons. I'm still like, I don't know if it happens as soon as this weekend, but I still think there's a possibility that this could happen this year. So we'll see what happens on that front. All right, we'll take one quick break. When we get back, a couple other news and notes from today's scrum out in Stockholm, Sweden. Now we're going to play some Cosign No Sign, the return of Cosign No Sign, Dave. I'm excited for it. But before we get into all that, let me tell you all about one of today's show sponsors. And it's our good friends over at Game Time. You shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Game Time is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. See the view for your receipt before you buy so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All-in prices show your total up front so you know you're getting a great deal without hidden fees. You can buy tickets in 2 seconds with just 2 taps. They're obsessed with finding ways to help you save money on tickets. Finding exclusive flash deals on sponsored deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, hockey, concerts, whichever you're looking to get tickets for. And the Game Time guarantee means that you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. I'm Mike DiStefano with Dave Morassutti. All right. We haven't played this in a few weeks here, but it's one of our favorite segments that we do here on the show. It's called Cosign No Sign. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. Appreciate you giving us a shot here. If you've been around, you've heard us play this many, many, many times over the years. It's Cosign No Sign. Basically, Dave and I are going to make statements to each other. If we agree with the statement, we're going to no sign it. If we disagree with what the other person said, then we're going to no sign it. So that's how the game is played. Dave, you go first, my friend.
Well, I'll give you my NHL one first because I actually like this take a lot more. Well, the statement a lot more.
All right. Yeah. So just we have one Leafs related one and then one league related one. So you're going to start with league related. Okay.
Yeah, because we know we're getting close to the American Thanksgiving mark where in a lot of ways playoff positions start to become a lot clearer who's going to make it and who, just give up for this year. I'm talking to you, San Jose. I'm talking to you.
They gave up long ago.
They gave up 2 straight 10 goals allowed games ago.
They gave up 2 years ago, my friend.
Yeah.
Continue.
One team that hasn't given up, that's actually been one of the surprises of the season, the Anaheim Ducks.
Oh, yeah. They've won like a bunch of comeback games too recently.
I think it's six games with third period comebacks or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's out of 15 games or something like that have been third period comebacks. They are currently holding the top wild card spot in the Western Conference. So my cosign, no sign. The Anaheim Ducks surprise everyone and make the playoffs this season.
The Anaheim Ducks are going to make the playoffs. Let me look at what their underlying numbers have been this year. It's been a great story, and I think they've gotten off to an exceptional start, obviously, but they're still so young, and I don't think that the team is great. I mean, the goaltending, it's just not there. They're still very young on the blue line. I don't think this is a team that's going to make the playoffs. So I'm going to no sign it. I don't think they make the playoffs. No, gonna no sign it.
I think they'll be close, but I think Edmonton's now winning games. Seattle's losing games, so Edmonton's going to pass them eventually. But like St. Louis has gone better lately. They got off to a slow start.
They're 27th in the league right now in expected goal differential.
Not great.
No, which means they're getting lucky. They're getting lucky.
Well,
they probably have a high.
Like 6 of their 9 games have been regulation wins, which is not bad. But they have a negative goal differential, which kind of says a lot. And you can't expect to come back in the third period as much as they've done it. But I like watching this team play. They're like that. They're like fun. They're like similar to remember the Devils. They were like that fun young team, right? Full of skill, good young players. That's kind of like Anaheim's turning into that a little bit there. I think their blue line still needs work. Again, John Gibson, I thought he was done in Anaheim. I don't know how.
Kind of still is. I don't think John Gibson's doing a whole. What's John Gibson looking like this year? John Gibson's been pretty solid this season. 927 save percentage with a 219 goals against. I don't know if he's able to continue that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think St. Louis. I think St. Louis can make a push again. They're the second wild card team right now. Arizona, surprisingly, the third wild card team. The Western Conference is a little drunk right now. With Edmonton being so bad, Calgary being bad, Minnesota being surprisingly bad. There's opportunities, but I think it's going to be tough, especially if Edmonton's the one team I think that's going to wake up here and go on a bit of a roll just because they have so far.
Yeah, I think Edmonton's a team, certainly, and I think they've won 3 straight now since making the coaching change. So, they're getting right back into it, and they'll start winning some games here. I believe Minnesota's a good team. They'll win some games once they get their goaltending sorted out. And Arizona, don't sleep on them, man. They've been a very good team this year. They're scoring a lot of goals too, so they're kind of a dark horse team that I think can compete in the wild card race. The Ducks, though, like Frank Vetrano has 11 goals so far this year. I don't think that's gonna last. So if you're not getting 11 goals out of Frank Vetrano, I don't know who else is really scoring goals for you. I mean, McTavish has 7. I guess Terry's got 5. Leo Carlson's actually just setting the league on fire. He's got 8 points in 10 games, 6 goals, couple hat tricks.
Like they're not playing him in every game. They're purposely sitting him out for his development, which I'm like,
it's weird. It's weird what they're doing.
Guys, like this isn't someone you just. This isn't. I understand you don't want to throw him to the fire, but at the same time, like the guy's playing well, play him.
Well, I think they're doing the same with Jamie Drysdale, who only has 2 games played so far this year, unless he's injured. It could be injured, but
yeah, he was injured.
Trevor Zegras, though, only 1 goal. He's got 2 points this year. Trevor Zegras.
That contract, he's bitter. He's bitter.
Well, I mean, I'll say he missed training camp, so that's never a good thing. So I guess you could say it's going to take him a month to get his legs under him. But oof, that's not great if you are the Anaheim Ducks. If this guy's falling off a cliff like this, but yeah, I think I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I think that they're still a year or 2 away from really competing. Good young pieces, and it's nice that guys like McTavish and Pavel Mintyukov and Leo Carlson are, showing, hey, we're good hockey players, and they're, they've been better than advertised. They've been getting good goaltending out of that Lucas Dostal kid too. He's got a .910 save percentage. So look, I think there's talent there. I don't know if I see them really competing for a playoff spot when all's said and done. Let me tell you all about one of today's show sponsors, and it's our good friends over at FanDuel. Score early this NHL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. You think Toronto's going to win on Friday? Bet that money. Get your $150 if they win. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn and kick off the sports season right. FanDuel, official partner of the Locked On Network.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. So you want to give me your Leafs or you want to give me your league-related one?
Well, let's. I'll go back to Leafs, and then you give me Leafs, and then we'll go league related. So, the Maple Leafs will make a sizable add to their blue line by Christmas, and you could use the word "sizable" twice, as in impactful, and just a big defenseman.
The only thing giving me pause is I'm wondering if the Calgary Flames, because that's the team holding a lot of cards right now, are going to hold off until more suitors come in for Zadorov. I personally think a deal could happen soon because I don't know how long you can keep the Zadorov situation going.
You got 3 or 4 teams that are already bidding for Zadorov? How many more do you want?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you always kind of hope that there's this one team that comes out of nowhere, and if you're Calgary, it's just we'll ante up a bit more, right? Like we have Toronto right now, Vancouver, New Jersey, but another team coming out of nowhere could be we'll give you X and get that deal done.
Yeah, here's my thing. It's already such a bad locker room juju right now.
Yeah.
A guy who clearly does not want to be there and didn't really have the nuts to tell his team he wanted to go or that this was happening. They all found out through Twitter. Backlund was asked today, hey, how'd you guys find out about the trade request? And he said, same way you all did, Twitter. So I don't know if he's a very welcomed man in that dressing room right now. Remember a couple of weeks ago, too, he kind of talked down to the players in that room and was like, yeah, some guys just aren't playing well right now. And he just at the time, it was good for him. But
yeah, I think it was they were playing for themselves. So
yeah,
I do think if you're the Flames, though, I understand you don't want to make a panic move, but at the same time, that's a situation, that's a room right now that needs cleansing. So like I do think I would say co-sign because I don't know how long they can really realistically expect to drag this out as much as they probably would like to
But
get.
like, is that the only trade that you think is possible though? Like, you don't think if Zadorov gets dealt elsewhere, Tree Living doesn't go and try and make a move before Christmas still? Like, you think he still waits even longer? Like, I don't know if I have a name in mind that he goes after, but
Nah, that's the thing,
I
right?
mean,
Like right now, Zadorov's the only one, and then we're hearing Tanev a little bit. Like it's not really another team that's opening for business.
there's probably some guys in San Jose, like Jan Ruta is out in San Jose. What about Mario Ferraro out in San Jose? Like, there's a couple of dudes I think around the NHL that might be willing to do some deals here. But by Christmas, maybe.
Earlier it's always better because you get them. Hey, you get more bang for your buck when you're not getting a guy trade deadline. Like it's better to get these guys early. Kyle Dubas is always big on trying to get deals done early, but usually that's like January, not
Yeah.
Christmas.
That's something I was gonna mention is like we don't know what Tree Living's tendencies are right now. We kind of got to understand the tendencies of Kyle Dubas and how he operated and wanted to do stuff. We don't really know yet when it comes to Tree Living. If anything, he has been kind of slow and methodical with his approach. Like nothing has really been done in a jiff. Whether it was, Austin's contract, you look at Willie's contract right now, whether it was figuring out what they want to do with the coach, and obviously right now with the blue line, not really making any rash moves here. So he has waited, but I don't know, man. If this blue line continues to falter, and if John Klingberg just ain't it, I do think they're going to have to make an addition sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, you ready for mine?
Yeah.
This is a big one. William Nylander will finish with more points this season than Mitch Marner.
No sign.
Okay.
No sign. I mean, here's the thing. Mitch Marner, how far off is Marner right now to Nylander? So, Nylander's up near the top of the league right now.
He is right now 5 points ahead of Mitch.
And Mitch has been playing poor.
Yeah, he hasn't been playing well.
Right? And he still is among the league leaders in points. Like that's how talented Mitch Marner is, that even in his bad games, you look at the score sheet and he's picked up a point or two. You know what I mean? So when this guy's on, we've seen him churn out 3-4 point nights. It's not hard for him to do. He's yet to really hit that stride this season. I think it'll come. And when that happens, that's when he's going to take off. And that's when the point's going to roll. And that's when this team's going to go on a big run and start stacking up some wins here. So I do think it's going to happen. I think it's coming pretty soon too. And that's when he'll kind of rocket past Nylander for points. I mean, there's only a 5-point gap between them. He could close that and literally within 2 or 3 games, like just by playing average for Mitch Marner standards. So, yeah, I'm going to no sign it. I think Mitch Marner still ends up with more points by the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, the big one here for me is Nylander's been consistent, and he's got obviously the motivation of the contract. Marner, the problem here for me with Marner is, Matthews is like leading the league in goals, or among the league leaders in goals. And a
lot of them coming on the power play though, right? Where Nylander's picking up some points on that. Once the offense starts clicking at 5-on-5, which it's starting to. You've seen last week, didn't Marner have back-to-back 4-point games? Literally last week or the week before.
So
Marner saw the 5-on-5 offense start to come through.
Yeah, so he had the 4-point game against Tampa and a 4-point game against Buffalo, but the last 3 games he hasn't registered a point.
Mm-hmm.
it's the consistency. I need to see Mitch Marner get back to being consistent. Like we know
We've
Nylander's not
seen
going
it.
to
Like we've seen it for 3-4 years now, where Mitch Marner is a consistent player. You know what I mean? Like Nylander's the one who has not been consistent. Like even last year, it was his best year of his career, but there were stretches where he did go cold at times. It wasn't nearly as long as it had been previously, but that did happen. So if there's one player I believe in who will get that once he turns the corner, like then he's consistent from there on out. You know what I mean? Like that Mitch Marner to me there's more history of him doing that. Whereas Nylander last year was more of the anomaly for him. I could be wrong. Obviously, this guy could go off and score over 100 points, 110 points, and be the team leader. But there's also a chance that he does that and Marner still ends up with like 115. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's Mitch Marner, dude. He's a talented kid. I think there's no doubt in my mind he figures it out. Once he gets his confidence going, this team's gonna hit the ground running here and pile up wins, and he'll pile up points along the way.
Yeah, I think it's I'm hoping like Marner, once Marner starts to get going, like this team should really start to take off.
Yeah, I've always said that this team kind of ticks, with Mitch Marner. Like I've kind of always thought that to be the case. Like he's the heartbeat. When he's rolling, the team's often winning. When he's not, well, sometimes they struggle to find offense. All right. My league-wide one for you, Dave, and then we'll wrap things up here. The Boston Bruins are now a lock to win the Atlantic Division.
Okay, let me see the points here. They are, holy smokes.
They're not
8 points ahead of the Leafs.
They're not losing any games, guy. They don't lose. They're 12-1 and 2.
Goal differential. Yeah, Swayman's been so good. It's super annoying. I will co-sign it, and it's annoying for that I have to co-sign this. But everything, it's just the same Bruins team from last year in a lot of ways. It doesn't mean the Bruins are gonna just ram through, the playoffs and all this. We know that what happened last year. They ran into a wall in the playoffs. So maybe that happens again. I wouldn't hate that. They can go and win the Atlantic if they want. But yeah, right now, everything suggests, oh God, 0.867 points percentage. Gross.
Yep.
Absolutely gross.
Yep.
I hate it.
And that's with McAvoy being suspended for 4 games.
McAvoy being suspended for 4 games.
Kept along.
Oh man, Jeremy Swayman has been unreal. That's maybe the only thing I wonder is can Swayman sustain this? But then they're like, okay, we'll go Linus Ullmark, who's been.
That's the thing. Both of those goalies, even you go back to last year, they were both Vezina-worthy goaltenders.
Yeah,
it's interesting. It's there was the rumor out there that the Bruins potentially could look to maybe move one of them for Nugent Hopkins. I don't know if we see that happen, but I did read that there maybe have been talks about something like that. I don't know if that's fan fiction or if that was legitimate, but
I think that's just people trying to drum up. The Bruins need a center.
Yeah,
Bruins need a goalie, but yeah,
but
at the right time, at this point, Bruins are why are we messing with something that's working?
Exactly. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Although if you want to break something that's good, go right ahead, Boston.
Yeah, true. Yes, from a Leafs perspective,
self-sabotage will work out very well.
Yeah, bring in a locker room cancer while you're at it, and just completely self-sabotage from within. Go ahead, have fun. Not calling new just a cancer. I'm just saying any. Just go grab one that is considered one. Yeah, all right. That'll do it for Cosign, No Sign, Dave. And that'll do it for us today on the podcast. I'd like to thank you all for listening and supporting the show. You can subscribe to the Locked On Leafs podcast on all podcast platforms and receive daily Leafs content. Follow myself on X at Mickey_Canuck. Follow Dave at D_Morassutti and follow the show as well at Locked On Leafs. Leave a like and a comment if you are watching here on YouTube, that'd be greatly appreciated. And we'll be back for another episode for you guys tomorrow. But until then, keep it locked right here on Locked On Leafs.